You read the title. You know what time it is. Finally. What's up, guys? Nintenjoel here once again, and it is time to show one of my favorite collections within the gaming collection, and that would be the almighty TurboGrafx-16. I'm going to be showing my consoles, and I'm going to be showing every single one of my TurboGrafx-16 games. I'm going to go ahead and skip my PC Engine games, however, because first of all, I don't want this video to go on forever. Secondly, I don't really have anything that great, and they're in terrible shape, so we're just going to stick with TurboGrafx-16 games and all the consoles. So let's get straight to it, but before we do, please, be sure to subscribe. That would be amazing if you want to see more content. We're going to be going through more of my collection for sure. Also, I have more videos planned as well, so be sure to hit that bell notification, subscribe, all that crap. Please comment if you liked the video, comment if you didn't like the video. Let's get straight into the madness of the TurboGrafx-16. Okay, let's start things off with one of my favorite consoles of all time, and one of the coolest things I think that I own. This is my TurboGrafx-16 Entertainment System, complete in box, that I paid about $12 for. You guys remember when people did Facebook raffle groups? I'm sure those are actually still around. I don't do them ever. I have a couple times, but I wasn't very good at winning until I won this. And I paid about $12 for it. I only put in a couple bids and randomly won. I still remember the day I won this, and I was just completely blown away. So there you go. TurboGrafx-16 complete in box. I love this. This is one of two TurboGrafx that I own. I'll show the other one in a second, but that's a whole other story. Okay, secondly, we've got the PC Engine Duo. This is a badass system that plays not only the Hue cards, the Japanese Hue cards, but it also plays Japanese discs. I feel like this might actually play American discs as well, NTSC, but I'm not positive on that. But anyways, PC Engine Duo, this is a fairly new pickup. I got it from John. Thank you again, John. I've gotten some amazing trades from him. Believe it or not, it's just the same on the back, so nothing really to scream at as far as looks, but definitely an amazing system, definitely something any owner of PC Engine or collector of PC Engine and TurboGrafx needs. It's just awesome to have that capability. Okay, moving on to one of my favorite things in my collection. This is amazing. This is the TurboGrafx-16 case, and inside we have the TurboGrafx CD unit. Oh, what's nice about this case is it actually has one of the clips. The other one's missing, but I guess even having one is pretty uncommon, so here we've got the TurboGrafx CD. This is also a recent acquisition. This also came from John. Awesome trade. It's got everything with it, and it's got my TurboGrafx that I actually use, not the one that's in box. So really cool. So I can play American TurboGrafx games, and with the PC Engine Duo, I can play Japanese PC Engine games, and I can play American discs. I can play Japanese discs. I've got all the capabilities right there. Definitely one of the coolest things I own, in my opinion. Okay, and the last thing I have to show you console-wise is one of my favorite things in my collection. I'm not even talking just TurboGrafx stuff. This is one of my favorite things in my collection of all time, and it just got fixed recently. I bought this, and it had many, many problems. I bought this, a couple years ago, maybe a few years ago, and, one of the buttons didn't run, and the sound wasn't working, and when my friend opened this up and took a look at it, the board was completely trashed. So he bought a new board and installed it, and this thing runs like a fucking dream. It is amazing and one of my favorite things in my collection. And we're not just talking about TurboGrafx. This is literally one of my favorite things in my entire collection. TurboGrafx Express, super freaking cool. Okay, before we move on to any games, first of all, I do have one thing that's pretty cool. TurboGrafx-16. This is the official TurboGrafx-16 game encyclopedia. I don't see these books very often. They're not very expensive or anything like that, but this one's in pretty damn good shape. And it's got Includes complete descriptions, essential inside tips, tricks, and winning strategies for over 40 of the latest and greatest TurboGrafx-16 games, the hot new TurboExpress portable system featuring Bonk's Adventure, and a bunch of other games. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's just got, all these games, info on them, and it tells you necessary information and sometimes backstory, even some crappy black and white screenshots, but it's a really cool book. I don't see it very often. It's actually not very expensive, but pretty neat nonetheless. Really happy to own something like that. Moving on to the games, we're going to just start with the loose pile of games first. Starting off with Boxy Boy, which is a really cool puzzle game where you just are a dude pushing boxes around and you have to push them to the appropriate goal, and it's a lot of fun. I really like it. It's actually a pretty damn good game. Then we've got the opposite, probably the worst game on the TurboGrafx-16, Falcon. This is like a flight simulator type game. It's terrible. Those really old ones on console just weren't very good. This is honestly probably my least favorite game, except for maybe sports games. I mean, I'm not even sure I've played this one. Sports TV football, I'm sure it's not that great. I'm not really into sports games. And I mean, TurboGrafx sports games aren't going to be anything great compared to anything else you could play. JJ and Jeff is a pretty cool, side-scrolling platformer. You play as two dudes. I think they're detectives or something like that. Pretty fun game. They're like oversized heads, very chibi. Time Cruise, we've got one of the three really rad pinball games on the TurboGrafx. Time Cruise is a really fun game. I just got that recently, actually. We've got Bomberman. Bomberman's always a good time. I really like this pure white label for some reason. It looks really cool, and not many of the games have a label like that. But Bomberman, you know what to expect with that. Though it's a pretty stripped down Bomberman. It's an old one. We've got Parasol Stars, The Story of Bubble Bobble 3. I just got this not horribly long ago, last year, and yeah, this is pretty cool. It's another Bubble Bobble game, so if you like Bubble Bobble, you'll probably like that. Ghost Manor is honestly one of the games I've played the least. I haven't had this too horribly long, but it's it's a platformer, it's a side-scroller, you're inside a haunted mansion type thing, and it seems pretty fun. I just haven't played it a ton. Turrican, believe it or not, somebody that watches my streaming channel, Nintenjoel, shameless plug right there for Twitch, but somebody actually sent me 2 games, and one of them was Turrican, which was freaking amazing. Then we've got Legendary Axe, definitely one of my favorite games on the system, just a really fun side-scrolling platformer. There's always tons of side-scrolling platformers. This one's an adventure game. You've got axes and swords, and you swing at monsters, and it's a lot of fun. Climb vines, all that shit. Legendary Axe 2, though not as good, is pretty much more the same, but Legendary Axe 2 is not quite up to the standards of the first one, but it's still a lot of fun and worth owning. Then we've got Dungeons & Dragons Order of the Griffin. Definitely has my vote for the coolest TurboGrafx-16 art. And yeah, this is one of the few RPG-like games on the system. Actually, I think this is an RPG, though. It's been a long time since I played this, and I only played it for a few minutes. Then we've got a plethora of shooters on the system. We all know that TurboGrafx has a ton of them, and I own a ton of them. Here are the loose ones that I own. We've got Galaga 90. This is actually... Is this the first TurboGrafx game I owned? Well, it was either that one or R-Type. One of these two, but I've got Galaga and R-Type. Very good traditional shoot-'em-ups and, side-scrolling with this one. This one's more like old style, top-down view, but really fun. Both of them are great. And we've got one that's not as great. Deep Blue for the TurboGrafx. It's like underwater shoot-'em-up action, and it's okay. It's really not anything to scream about. Dead Moon steps it up a little bit. I actually do enjoy Dead Moon. I like the atmosphere. Really cool side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. There's so many side-scrolling shoot-'em-ups on the system, but yeah, Dead Moon's not bad. 2 of my absolute favorites, and definitely 2 of the games that are hardest to find in my collection, and we've got Superstar Soldier, amazing, top-down, which is my preferred type of shoot-'em-up action, And yeah, really cool graphics, amazing music, and just an awesome atmosphere. And follow that up with probably my rarest game, Soldier Blade. More of the same. Amazing top-down shoot-'em-up action with crazy good music, and a lot of cool weapon upgrades, and just a lot of fun. Soldier Blade is absolutely one of the games that I play the most on the TurboGrafx. Well, I mean, along with Superstar Soldier, these two are pretty much interchangeable. And both are rather hard to find. Okay, let's move on to the games that... You know what? I've got 3 games that are complete in box with the actual boxes. I don't have a lot of those because, you know, they're just really hard to find. But the 3 I have are actually in really good shape. This one may not look like it as much because of the plastic, but it still has the plastic and hang tag on it, so it looks a little wrinkly. But yeah, Battle Royale... It is in complete condition. It's a wrestling game, and here's some screenshots for you. I mean, the game's nothing to scream about, but it's actually pretty fun. It's not bad, but this is cool because it still has the hang tab on it. It's still got the plastic on it. And, yeah, pretty neat. Then we've got... This one is in amazing shape. Taking it to the hoop. It's just a sports game, but man, look at that box. It's just clean and crisp. A little ding right there, but yeah, really just super nice. And it is a 8-bit / 16-bit basketball game. You know, if you don't know the whole thing about how the TurboGrafx is kind of in between an 8-bit and 16-bit system, you should look that up. But yeah, taking it to the hoop, pretty cool. Not bad. And then the one that's definitely in the greatest shape and is the best game out of the complete in-box ones, we've got Sidearms, a really cool shoot-'em-up, and this still has the plastic on it, still has the hang tab on it, and I've even got it in a protective case. I need to get a couple more of those, but Sidearms, badass side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. Like I said, there's a ton of those on this system, but this is actually a pretty fun one. Not bad at all, nice atmosphere, and cool weapon upgrades, so there you go. And then let's move on to the bulk of my collection, which is the complete in-case games. Now, there's a couple exceptions, I believe, at least one where I'm missing a manual, and then there's one where the manual is kind of trashed, but for the most part, these are complete in case. And yeah, there's some pretty good stuff in here. There's a couple losers in here, but not many. TurboGrafx, in my opinion, has some overall damn good games. Starting with Aeroblasters, another shoot-'em-up, but we're going to get through these pretty quick, so I'm not going to say a whole ton about these, but yeah, another shoot-'em-up. Alien Crush, one of the other awesome pinball games on the system. Probably my favorite, but Alien Crush, really cool atmosphere, badass music, fun pinball action. Andrea Panza kickboxing, yeah, it's okay. Blazing Lasers, absolutely one of my favorite TurboGrafx games and one of the first ones I ever played. You know, as an adult, I never played this as a kid, but Blazing Lasers is one of my favorite top-down shoot-'em-ups of all time. It's got such great weapon upgrades. It reminds me of oh god, what's that game on Super Nintendo? I can't freaking think of it. Superstar Soldier. Nope, it's not that. I'll put the thing down here in the description what I'm talking about. Bonk's Adventure, we all know Bonk. Amazing side-scrolling platforming adventure with a dude with a big head, and you can bonk things, and you can climb things with your teeth, and it's just amazing, great action, and, you know, just very representative of the TurboGrafx and what the TurboGrafx is all about. Then we've got Bonk's Revenge. This one's a little harder to get. It took me a long time to get this, and the third one's really hard to get. I've not found that one. It's just so expensive. That would be my rarest game if I had that. But Bonk's Revenge, more of the same. Really cool, fun atmosphere, and just more side-scrolling adventure. I've got Bravo Man. This is like the wannabe Mega Man, and it's not that great, but it's not horrible either. I kind of like it. It's charming, but it's certainly nothing to like run out and buy immediately. Unlike this, Kadash is one of my favorite games on TurboGrafx. This is a side-scrolling RPG and is just really cool. This game actually recently, well not recently, I think it was last year or maybe a year and a half ago, I saw an arcade cabinet of this, which is just absolutely crazy. I didn't even know there was an arcade cabinet of this, but this is one of my favorites. Really cool to see a side-scrolling RPG on there. And then we've got China Warrior. Most people have seen China Warrior. You've got obnoxiously big characters fighting, and it's really not that great. It's kind of cool, though. Cybercore, this is another shoot-'em-up, and this one's a lot of fun. There's a lot of really cool cyber upgrades and just really cool stuff. There's, like, yeah, insects that you have to kill, and yeah, it's fun. I like it. More shoot-'em-up action, you know? And then we've got the third awesome pinball game, Devil's Crush. I don't know what I like more, Alien Crush or Devil's Crush. It's been a while since I've played either. The most recent one I played was that first one that I showed. But Devil's Crush, pretty damn fun. Awesome music, awesome everything. Then we've got Double Dungeons. Certainly not one of the greater games, but it's cool, like, overhead adventure game. Not unlike Gauntlet, maybe? It's been a long time since I played it. But I think that's the one that's that one. It's either that or this other one that I'm talking about soon. Then we've got Dragon Spirit, in my opinion, the superior way to play Dragon Spirit. I mean, I've only played a couple ways. I played the NES version, this one, and maybe one other one, but this is definitely superior to the NES version. Overhead shoot 'em up where you're a dragon, and when you upgrade, you get more heads. It's amazing. It's a really cool game with really cool, like, backgrounds. And then we've got Dungeon Explorer. This is the one I always get confused with Double Dungeons. I feel like neither of these are great games, but they're still charming, and they still are kind of fun. Pretty not bad. Pretty not bad. And then we've got... oh, one of my favorites. I love Fantasy Zone, and this is definitely a step up from the 8-bit versions. I think the TurboGrafx version is fantastic. Great music, crazy pastel, bright colors, side-scrolling, shoot 'em up, but you can go back and forth, and there's shops, and yeah, it's a really unique and cool game. If you've never played Fantasy Zone, I actually highly recommend it. Final Lap Twin. Talk about unique. This looks like it's just a regular-ass racing game, but it's not. It's actually a racing RPG where you can race, earn money, upgrade your car, kind of like upgrading your equipment on an RPG, and yeah, just really cool. I don't know why I'm showing the back. There's nothing on these. And then, let's see, what have we got here? This is the game most people know because it was the pack-in game, but we've got Keith Courage and Alpha Zones. Another side-scrolling platforming game, and actually, you know what? This game gets a lot of guff, but I think it's pretty fun. It's not bad at all. It's just nothing that's, crazy good, so I'm not really sure why they decided that would be the game that best represented the TurboGrafx until Bonk came along, but King of Casino, I mean, take a guess what kind of game that is. We've got Clax, really cool puzzle game. I've always liked Clax. I've never played it a ton, but when I have played it, I always thought it was pretty fun. We've got Military Madness. This is a really cool game, strategy type tactical, like strategy, like Command and Conquer type game. Pre-Star... what the fuck is the name of that game? StarCraft, all that stuff. It's that stuff, but it's pretty fun. Pretty damn fun. Newtopia, awesome Zelda wannabe. This is really cool. This is really similar to something like Golden Axe Warrior, which is just straight up a love letter to Legend of Zelda. This game feels like it's right in between the 8-bit Zelda and Link to the Past. It's really cool, and I really like this game a lot. I wish I could get the second one, but it's really expensive. This is the one game I don't have the manual for, which is Night Creatures. Honestly, it's not my favorite game. This is another game that I'm like, it's okay. I barely even remember it. I think it's somewhat similar to the Haunted Mansion game Ghost Manor game that I was talking about earlier. I believe you're like in a haunted house, and it's like a platforming game, but it's been a long time since I tried it. But then we go into one of my absolute favorites on the system, Ninja Spirit. Badass side-scrolling action game. Oh man, you get so many cool weapons with this game, and then you get shadows of yourself. And so, like, when you swing your weapon, all your dudes swing their weapons at the same time. They all jump in time with you, and yeah, the shadow aspect is super cool. Ninja Spirit is amazing. Pac-Land is not so much of a unique game because it's just, another like side-scroller, but yeah, you control Pac-Man, but it's really weird how the controls are. They're completely opposite. You use the directional pads to jump, but then you use the actual buttons to go back and forth. It's really weird and odd, but it's a cool, very fun game with like a happy Pac-Land attitude, but yeah, it's pretty neat. This game, it's got the shredded manual. I'm trying to replace this at some point, but it's kind of an expensive game. We've got Sinistron, which is another side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. Honestly, one of the better ones on the system. It's got really cool art, but yeah, I need to replace this. But more shoot-'em-up action. One of the best games on the system for sure. Everybody loves Splatterhouse. This one's also got a little bit of damage to the manual, but I don't care. Just owning this is so amazing. Everybody knows what Splatterhouse is. It's side-scrolling horror action where you're swinging at monsters, and yeah, you're in a haunted mansion type deal, and yeah, Splatterhouse, great stuff. Moving on, we've got Tiger Road. I've not played this one a ton, but it's like also side-scrolling action. I can't remember if there's much platforming, but yeah, you know, you get weapons and swing them at people. TV Sports Hockey, I remember thinking this game wasn't too bad. I don't usually like sports games, but I kind of like hockey games a little bit. But yeah, it speaks for itself. Victory Run, your basic like third-person freaking racing game. Not too bad, not great, it's just kind of there. Vigilante, a side-scrolling beat-em-up type game, and it's not bad. It's got kind of a nice atmosphere to it. The music's not bad, but the gameplay is just meh, it's alright. You know, I barely actually remember this one. And then we've got World Class Baseball. Oh, just absolutely one of my favorite games. Just kidding, I don't even know if I've played that one before. And lastly, I have one TurboGrafx CD game because I just got my TurboGrafx CD not that long ago, as I said earlier, and I immediately ordered this on eBay as soon as I could because I knew it was the one game that wouldn't break the bank that I wanted, and that was a turn-based RPG. We've got Cosmic Fantasy 2. There's no screenshots of this game, but trust me, it is the most traditional, generic, overhead RPG you've ever seen, but it's just something I've always kind of wanted to get back in my collection. I had this a long time ago when I never had a Turbo CD, and yeah, never got to play it. Now I can play it. I've played it a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it's super generic. But that's all I have for you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Tons and tons and tons of TurboGrafx games. And yeah, I think it's a really fun system that's underrated, and the more time goes on, the more people kind of forget that it even exists. I know a lot of people that are like, Turbo what? To this day. So, and I never grew up with one, so, you know, I didn't really know about it until I was an adult, but I really enjoy it, and I wish I had known about it, and wish I at least knew friends that had it, because so many of these would have thrilled me as a child and as a teenager. But yeah, here we are with a really cool collection, and I'm hoping to expand it at some point, one piece at a time. If you guys enjoyed the video, please subscribe, that would be amazing. Give a like, that would be cool as hell. And be sure to leave a comment. What's your favorite game on TurboGrafx? Have you ever played a TurboGrafx? Do you plan on playing TurboGrafx? Thank you very much for watching. You guys rule, much love, and keep rocking the retro games.
Oh,